Hello there, everyone. My name is Crazy Caleb, and welcome to Inselectables. Now, this is the way the module looks. It's got a series of 8 different letters around the ring. There is the possibility of there being duplicates as well, but in this case, we have all unique letters in this ring, and we have a Go center in the middle of the screen here. Now, the catch with this module is that when you highlight over one of these letters here, there is the possibility of it highlighting a completely different letter here in this example. In this case, highlighting over Papa gives us that whiskey in a yellow ring. And there's going to be 2 different color rings of which can happen. That's going to be yellow and pink. So in this case, this is a pink right here. This is a pink, this is a yellow, this is a yellow, so on and so forth. So now, what exactly is our goal with this module here? Our goal is to go through a couple different cycles in this module, and our goal is to figure out there's going to be 3 specific letters that will always appear on every new cycle, and there's also going to be 4 different decoy letters that appear on most cycles, but not all of them. So there's going to be a little bit of a process of elimination that we need to use with this module. For the first stage, we're essentially trying to get the letters that simply appear. And that's what we're going to be using for that first stage. And then the second stage and then the third stage, we're going to essentially be trying to cross off modules that we don't have on that stage and essentially try to get down to 3 guaranteed specific letters. So how exactly do we figure out this? So first things first, we actually need to find our true letters for the stage. And this is going to be done based off of the highlights of which we get for each of the buttons. So essentially, there's going to be a little bit of a math involved, and it's going to be involving the distance from each individual ring based off of one specific direction, clockwise and counterclockwise. So we're not going to be, for example, with this Papa, we're not going to be adding or subtracting the 23, in this case representing whiskey. We're going to be adding the distance from the distance the highlight is from the Papa here. And that's going to be based off of these 2 rules here. So now, if we take a look here, if the button you highlight creates a pink ring, count that many buttons clockwise from that button. And then we're going to add this distance of the pink highlight to the letter of the button you are selecting. And if it goes beyond Z, wrap around to the beginning of the alphabet. So in this case with the pink ring, essentially what you're going to do is you're going to go clockwise, and you're going to be adding that many spaces to the letter. And then next up, if the button you highlight creates a yellow ring, we're going to count that many buttons counterclockwise, and now we're going to subtract the distance of the yellow highlight from the letter in the button that you're selecting. Likewise with the pink ring, if you go beyond A or below A in this case, we're going to wrap around to the end of the alphabet, which is essentially doing the exact opposite. So that's what's going to be happening here. Yellow ring is going to represent counterclockwise. We're always going to subtract that distance. Now in this case, this distance from Papa in this example is going to be 1, 2, 3 due to the whiskey. So this means that we're going to be subtracting 3 from Papa. So it's going to be the alphabetic position, and then we're going to subtract 3 from this. So if we get our handy calculator out here, so in this case that's going to be a 16. 16 represents Papa, minus the 3 is going to be a 13, which is going to be a Mike, and that's going to be our first letter from this stage. So essentially it's going to be pink clockwise add, yellow counter subtract, pink add, yellow subtract, pink clockwise, yellow counter. That's pretty straightforward what they ask you to do, and it's only going to be focusing on the distance of the letter. It's never going to be focusing on adding the alphabetic position of each of the individual letters. It's highlighting. It's simply going to be the distance from each of the highlights. That's going to be the way that this works. So let's continue on. Let's go over to Kilo, for example. This is going to be a pink. This is going to be us moving clockwise. So in this case, it's not going to be 1 counter. It's going to be 7 clockwise. So this means that we're going to be adding a 7 to Kilo, which is going to be an 11 plus 7, which is going to give me an 18, which is a Romeo. Next up, Charlie. Charlie is going to be 1, 2, 3 clockwise, which is going to be the pink ring in this case. So we're going to be adding 3 to Charlie. So 3 plus 3 is going to be a 6, which is going to represent Foxtrot for us. Next up, Victor. Victor is going to be a pink ring, so we're going to count clockwise. We're going to do 7 in this case, because it's simply just 1 space away from it. And we're going to add this, so we're going to be adding 7. So in this case, we're going to get 22 plus the 7. Now, this does go over 29, so we're simply just going to modulo this by 26. So we're going to add 3. So this is going to be a Charlie instead. Next up, the X-ray is going to be a yellow. We're going to go counterclockwise. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to Zulu, and we're going to subtract 5 from the X-ray. So 24 minus the 5, which is going to be a 19, which is going to be a Sierra. Okay. Next up for whiskey, whiskey is going to be a yellow, which is going to be counterclockwise. In this case, it's simply one clockwise away, so it's going to be a 7. We're going to subtract 7 from whiskey to get us our true letter here. 23 minus the 7, which is going to be a 16, that's going to be representing a papa. Next up, Yankee is simply going to be a pink, that's going to be clockwise, which in this case is going to be 1, 2, 3 spaces clockwise. So that's going to be a 25 plus a 3 is going to be a 28. Modulo this by 26 is going to be a 2, which is a Bravo. Now, next up, finally for the last one here, Zulu is going to be adding 7 clockwise because we have a pink ring and we're going to be counting spaces clockwise from our position. So in this case, that's going to be a plus 7. So 26 plus the 7 minus the 26 in this case is going to give us a 7, which is a golf. Okay. So that's going to be our first letters for this entire sequence. We have 8 individual letters. That's perfect. That's what we need. So now, what we're essentially going to do is we're going to, every time we tap go, a new set of letters will cycle in. So in this case, we're just simply going to tap go. And as you can see, we have a new sequence of letters and a new sequence of highlights as well. So this means that we're going to be doing some calculations here. Now, this is exactly what I mean by there can be some duplicates present in the actual display. However, this does not mean that they're going to be resulting in the exact same letter. In this case, we have 2 Quebecs and 2 Oscars. However, their distances are much, much different apart from each other, as well as their ring colors as well. So that's actually perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're essentially going to do the same process. However, what I'm essentially going to do is I'm only going to note down the positions which appeared in the letters that appeared in the first stage that are in common with this stage. Because that's our goal here. Our goal is to essentially do some process of elimination based off of these new generations. So that's what we're going to essentially do. So now let's try to figure things out. So Bravo is going to be a 6 clockwise. So that's going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just to make sure. Yep. And this is a pink ring, so we're going to be adding this. So it's going to be a 2 plus the 6 is going to be an 8. Did we have a hotel last stage? We did not, so we're not going to care about that letter at all. Nice. Next. So then Oscar is going to be a yellow. This is going to be referring to counterclockwise from the button. So this is going to be a 2 spaces counterclockwise. 15 minus the 2 is going to be a 13. This is a Mike. Mike was present in our previous cycle. So this is going to be important. We write this down. This is a potential option if we can submit later on. So now let's continue on. The second Oscar is going to be adding 3 because it's going to be moving 3 spaces clockwise, and it's representing a pink, so that means we're going to be adding this distance. So now 15 plus a 3 is going to give me an 18, which represents a Romeo. Now, Romeo is also present, rather quite nice. Okay. We're going to note that down, and we're going to move on to the next letter. This is going to be 3 spaces clockwise right here. 1, 2, 3 from the Lima. That's going to be a 12 plus the 3 is going to be an Oscar. This is not present on the previous stage from our true letters, so we're simply going to ignore you. Perfect. Fewer letters, the better, of course. From Quebec, Quebec is going to be a 2 spaces clockwise. That's going to be 1, 2 to the other Quebec. So in this case, it's going to be 2 spaces. So that's going to be a 17 plus a 2 is going to give me a 19, which is a Sierra. Sierra was present on the previous cycle right here. So this means that we're going to be having that letter as a potential option as well. Next up from the Juliet. The Juliet is going to be a 4 spaces counterclockwise. We're going to be subtracting 4 since it's the yellow ring. So we're going to be doing a 10 minus a 4, which is going to give me a 6. 6 represents Foxtrot. Foxtrot was present in the previous sequence, so this is another option that we have to look at here. Next up with Quebec. Quebec is going to be 2 counterclockwise, or excuse me, that's going to be 6 counterclockwise rather, because of the fact that it's going to be 6 counterclockwise to the Bravo here. So then a 17 minus the 6 is going to be an 11, which is going to represent Kilo. Kilo we do not care about because that's the fact that that's not in our previous sequence. If it wasn't clear already, I kind of expect you to know how alphabetic positions work. So sorry about that for not saying that earlier, but that's essentially what we're going to be focusing on this entirety of the module. And for our last character with the Mike here, Mike wants us to go counterclockwise with the yellow ring. We're going to be going 6 spaces counterclockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That second Oscar. So in this case, that is going to be a 6 spaces counterclockwise. We're going to do a 13 minus a 6, which is going to be a 7, which gives us a golf. This was present in our previous cycle, so this means that we're going to be adding golf right in there. So now, we have currently noted ourselves down to 5 letters, so we can simply get rid of this sequence, and we can simply focus on U now. This is our option to cut down letters here. This is essentially what we're looking out for. We need to find 3 of these specific letters that are present in all of the cycles, so our goal is to find an option without the foxtrot or the golf, or some other 2 options. We'll hit the go sequence again to cycle another sequence in here, and hopefully by some point we can essentially figure out, we can cross off maybe 1 or 2 options this time around, and maybe even get our answer. That would be nice. Starting from the kilo, we're going to be using a yellow. Yellow goes counterclockwise, so that means we're going to be going 6 spaces counterclockwise to the Sierra here. So that's going to be 11 minus this by 6 is going to be a 5. We do not care about echo at all because that was not present in the actual sequence, so that's going to be next. Yankee. Yankee is going to be 7 spaces counterclockwise because it's yellow, so it's going to be a 25 minus this by 7 is going to be an 18, which is going to be Romeo. Romeo is present within the sequence. Okay, that's 1 of our letters checked off. Next up, Sierra. Sierra is going to be 4 spaces counterclockwise, so we're going to be subtracting 4. 19 minus the 4 is going to be a 15, which is going to be Oscar. We did not have that in our previous sequence. We therefore do not care. Next up, Quebec. Quebec is going to be 4 spaces counterclockwise. This is going to be a 17 minus the 4, which is going to be a 13. That's going to be a Mike. Mike is indeed present in the previous sequence, so that's another letter that we could be looking at here. Perfect. Echo is going to be taking a look at 2 spaces clockwise. So this is going to be a it's going to be a pink ring, so we're going to be adding the distance from this guy. So it's going to be a 5 plus a 2 is going to be a 7. Golf is number 7, so that means that this was present in the previous sequence. This is another option we're going to be considering right here. So next up, this Lima is going to be focusing on clockwise here. Clockwise is going to be 7 spaces from our highlight here. So now we're going to be adding 7 to this Lima here. So 12 plus the 7 is going to be a 19. So this is going to be a Sierra. Sierra is indeed present from a previous sequence, so that is good to go. Now, hopefully, with these last 2 guys right here, hopefully we don't get a foxtrot option, and that's going to mean that we get rid of that option entirely. Which means we're probably going to have to do 1 more cycle to figure out which one of these letters is not involved, essentially. So next up, we have Victor plus a 7, excuse me. So Victor plus 7 is going to be 22, plus the 7 is going to be a 29, minus this by 26 is going to be a Charlie. We don't care about that. And then finally for the Oscar, Oscar is going to be a 4 counterclockwise, not even close to Foxtrot. We don't care. We figured out our 4 letters for this stage, and if we happen to do the math, it would be 4 spaces counterclockwise. It's going to be 15 minus the 4 is going to be 11. That is a kilo. Kilo was not present in our previous cycle, so this means we do not care about that. So now we are down to 4 letters. Now, hopefully with this next cycle, we can figure out our last position that we need to get rid of here. And simply we can now figure out how to submit this module. So let's start taking a look here. Starting from the Quebec. Quebec is going to be a 2 spaces clockwise because it's the pink ring. So now we're going to be doing a 17 plus a 2, which is going to be a 19. That is good. That is a Sierra right there taken care of. Perfect. The next up, November, is going to be 3 spaces counterclockwise, which if we do 14 minus 3 is going to be an 11. We do not care about kilo at all, so that's going to be next. I'm going to be just starting to do a little bit of mental math, by the way. And then we have 12 minus 4. That's going to be down to 8. We don't care about hotel. Next up, we have Papa. Papa is going to be 2 spaces clockwise. So this means that it's going to be 16 plus a 2, which is going to be 18. 18 is going to be worth Romeo. Romeo was present in the previous cycle, so this means that Romeo is going to be an option here. Perfect. Now, it's going to be between Golf and Sierra. Excuse me, Golf and Mike, rather. So now let's figure this thing out. So right here we go. We have Juliet, and then this was a yellow ring. Counterclockwise 3, so minus 3, is going to be a 7. Golf is our option here, our last option here. Now, we need to make sure, is Mike present in any of these last 3 characters that we have right here? Let's take a look. This is going to be 6 spaces clockwise. We're going to be adding this distance, so this means we're not going to be going to 13. That's for sure. This is going to be adding. This is going to give us an echo because it's only 1 clockwise space. And then for Zulu, this is going to be adding as well. It's going to be adding 6. That's going to give us a foxtrot. So this means that these last 3 characters are going to be what we're gonna submit it to the module. So now, how exactly do we submit this module here? So first things first is we need to begin by holding down the go button. A tune will start to play and the letters will start to turn cyan. When the tune finishes, a new set of letters will appear. So let's do that. So let's hold it down go this time around. And now all the letters turn cyan, and this is the way the module looks now. So now every single highlight that you do is going to be highlighting still a different letter, but in this case, there is the possibility, there is no other colors that you're going to be getting. It's always going to be a cyan ring, so this is what we're going to be submitting as the module. So now, what we need to do is we need to figure out how we're going to submit Sierra, Romeo, and Golf. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to select the 3 letters. You must press the buttons that highlight over these letters, not the letters themselves. So we're not going to be pressing, for example, we're going to be pressing this golf here, because that would be submitting Mike into the answer, which is exactly what we don't want. So in this case, we take a look around. We need to figure out which ones highlight the Sierra, the Golf, and the Romeo in this case. For the first one that I figured out here, if we highlight over Sierra, this actually highlights Golf for us. So let's hit that right there. That means that this is going to be part of the submission. This blue ring essentially is part of our submission now. So now let's figure out Kilo highlights over Romeo. That's good. And then Foxtrot, we need to figure out the Sierra. Victor is our answer right here. So now we have our 3 letters submitted into the module. They've been highlighted and circled. So now what we're going to do is to submit our answer, we're going to hold the go button down again. Another tune will start to play at the module, and the letters will start to turn blue. And if the 3 letters that you have highlighted match the letter that appeared in the previous cycle, the module will disarm. So now let's hit this guy here. And just like that is a solved module. That's exactly what you need to do with this one. Let's go over our last example here. And this is a little bit of a fun module. It's also a little bit of a fun solo for some diffusers who can do that in their head. So that's going to be a little bit of a fun one to do. So now let's take a look. So let's take a look at this sequence and let's figure out what we can find based off of this. I'm going to go a little bit faster because it's a lot of mental math in your head. Just remember, pink, clockwise, add, yellow, counter, subtract. That's all you need to do. And that's the way that this module works. And remember, it's based off of distance, not the adding the alphabetic position that is being highlighted. Well, of course, you're going to be focusing on the alphabetic position of the letter that you currently are highlighting, or that you currently are highlighting over. It's the ring that we do not care about. It's only the distance that we have to worry about. So now, with this one right here, this is going to be a +5 for clockwise, so it's going to be an Oscar. Sierra is going to be a +3. It's going to be 19 plus 3 is going to be a 22, which is going to be a Victor. Golf is going to be subtracting 7 in this case because it's 7 counterclockwise. That's going to take me to a 0, but in this case it's going to take me to a 26, which is going to be a Zulu. We're simply wrapping around to the end of the alphabet. Delta is going to be 7 clockwise here, so it's going to be adding 7, which is going to give us a kilo. Victor is going to be adding 7 clockwise, which is going to be 22 plus 7. 22 plus the 7 is going to be minus this by 26, is going to be a Charlie. Next up, Sierra is going to be subtracting 6 counterclockwise, or excuse me, 2 counterclockwise rather. I can't do math. And this is going to give me a Quebec. Kilo is going to be subtracting 5 counterclockwise, so that's going to be a Foxtrot. And Tango finally is going to be adding 4 clockwise, which is going to give me a X-ray. And these are the 8 letters that we're going to be focusing on first. So now let's create a new cycle and let's figure out which ones appear in the same sequence. Okay, let's take a look. So this first uniform is going to be adding 3 clockwise, which is going to be an X-ray. That is good. Uniform is going to be adding 5 clockwise, which is going to be a Zulu. We do care about the Zulu. That is good. Because it's going to be 5 clockwise. We're adding 5. 21 plus the 5 is going to be 26. Then we have Golf. This is going to be subtracting 4 because of the fact that we have a yellow and it's going to be 4 counterclockwise from our current position. In this case, opposites are of course going to be 4, regardless of whatever direction it is in. It just matters of which you need to add or subtract. In this case, we're going to be subtracting, which in this case is going to give me a Charlie, which was present in the previous sequence. That is going to be good to go. Next up, Juliet. Juliet is 1 space clockwise from the ring, so it's going to be adding 1 to Juliet, which is going to be a kilo. Kilo was present in our previous sequence. Mike is going to be 7 spaces counterclockwise from our current position here. So that's going to be 13 minus the 7 is going to be 6, which in this case is Foxtrot. Foxtrot was also present in our previous sequence. Now, if all things hold true, hopefully these guys will not have any letters that we have to worry about here. The Zulu, the Alpha, the Zulu Sierra, and the Charlie. The Zulu is going to be adding 4 to our current position, which in this case is 26 plus 4, which is going to be 30. Modulo this by 26, of course, is going to be 4. That's going to be a delta. Delta did not appear in our previous sequence. That's good. 19 is going to be, Sierra is going to be 19 minus the 7, which is going to be a Lima. Lima did not appear in our sequence. And then Charlie is going to be minus 1, which is a Bravo. Bravo did not appear in our sequence. So these are going to be the 5 letters that we're going to be focusing on this time around. You guys. Now, we're going to be getting a new cycle here. And let's get a new sequence. So we have Oscar. This is going to be 4 counterclockwise. That's going to be a 15 minus a 4, which is going to be an 11, which is Kilo. That's present. The Oscar here is going to be 2 counterclockwise to a Mike. That was not relevant at all. So we're good to go. Then we're going to have Yankee plus the 3 clockwise from its current position is going to be a Bravo. Not what we're looking for. Next. Alpha minus the 1. Because it's currently going counterclockwise. If we go beyond Alpha, we're going to wrap around to the end of the Alpha, which is going to give us a Zulu, which was present in our previous sequence. Next up, the Victor is going to be 2 clockwise. 22 plus 2 is going to be 24, which is an X-ray. Okay, that's present. So now it's going to be between Charlie and Foxtrot. Which one are we going to be getting rid of, and which one are we going to be adding on in this case? This is going to be a 7 counterclockwise. Doesn't really get anywhere close to Charlie or Foxtrot, so we're going to simply ignore you. You are going to be adding 1, so in this case, this is going to be Charlie, and it's not even remotely possible to get to Quebec from the Foxtrot, even with this plus 6, for example. So that means that these are going to be our 4 letters that we're going to be paying attention to in the next cycle. So we got rid of the Foxtrot, and now what we're going to essentially do is going to be getting a new cycle and determining our last 3 modules at which we need to submit into the module here. So now India is going to be 3 counterclockwise. That's going to give us a Foxtrot, which is exactly what we didn't need. So we're going to ignore you. Whiskey is going to be 3 counterclockwise. It's going to be a Tango. Next, Tango is going to be 7 counterclockwise. That's going to be a Mike. We don't care about you. Tango Uniform is going to be adding 7. In this case, that's going to be 21 plus the 7. Because it's 7 clockwise. Minus this by 28 is going to be a Bravo. So that's going to be not present at all. Next. Juliet is going to be plus 7, which is going to be a Quebec. That's not present. So now, this means that immediately we are going to be getting 3 individual characters from these last positions right here. So now, let's take a look. So November is going to be a minus 3, because it's 3 counterclockwise. And this means that this is going to be a Kilo. Kilo is indeed present. That's perfect. X-ray. X-ray is going to be plus 2, which is going to be a Zulu. So that means that is going to be our second letter. Good so far. And then Quebec is going to be a plus 7. 17 plus the 7 is going to give us the 24 that we need. These are our 3 letters that are appearing in every single sequence. Kilo, Zulu, and finally X-ray. So now let's get these guys submitted into the module. Let's first hold down the go. Okay, and now let's find the highlights that select X-ray, Zulu, and Kilo. So you're one of them. You're one of them. And where are you? And you're one of them. So now we have our 3 letters highlighted in this case. And now we're going to hold over go. We're going to let the blue come in here. And just like that is a solved module. Love that little tune that it plays. Very cool module, very nice solo for those of you who know how to do it. But it's fairly simple instructions. Hopefully you guys were able to follow along with most of these guys. It is very simple, and it's basically mental math at some points. But of course, as always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.